Mm. We're going to continue this chapter from where we stopped. In our last class, we tried to talk about how to define a business, and we said we should define a business by the offer, by the target market, the production and delivery capability. We also talked about the effectual logic and casual logic, then the company's core value, mission statement, vision statement, and a company's working culture. And we kind of rounded up the class, not completely anyway, by talking about competitive advantage. So today's class, we're going to continue from where we stopped, which is competitive advantage. And this last slide was where we stopped, and today we continue from this slide. And this is about the most chocolate cake company. It's about Army's target market. In this, Army tried to look at the competitive advantage of its most chocolate cake company with other companies. Uh, and before she also tried to define a business by looking at, she decided she will make the cake special. Okay. By first of all, she identified the opportunity, and she identified the problem and saw it as an opportunity, and the next thing she did was try to see how she can penetrate and sustain herself in the market. She tried to use the finest ingredients and the secret recipe to create quality. So she also tried to personalize the cake. Personalize each cake through expert custom decorating, which is the and also baking the cakes to order, so it will be fresh for the event. So all this gave her a competitive advantage. Now looking at this, she tried to define the business using a table. If you look at it, you see it talks about the offer, the target market, the production capability, and the problem solving. Was there an offer? Yes, there was an offer. The offer is a chocolate cake with various filling and decoration for special events at premium prices. Is there a target market? Yes, there's a target market. The target market are those people who love chocolate and want a special cake for a special event, and they can bake themselves. This was stated in this slide that Adam's target market was a segment of the public in Springfield that loved chocolate cake but did not have the time or interest in baking them. So this is put in a tabular form and try to define the business and answer these business definition questions, which is very necessary. So look at the production capability. So, how will that offer be produced and delivered to those customers? And this, they were produced by being from home, because they were all made and baked to order to ensure freshness, using high quality ingredients and a secret recipe. Then as this solved this problem, yes, it actually did, because the cake is able to address the challenges of those people who love chocolate cake, but yet they can't bake themselves. So, looking at competitive analysis, a simple comparative table is a good way to display this. The table should include the factors of competitive advantage that are most important to your prospective customers. Okay, it should also have features that you want to highlight, or specific aspects of the factors. Adding them to the table will make them more prominent. Then, there should also be ratings. When it comes to ratings can be done by the producer, or you, the producer, the entrepreneur, or your team, or through market research. But the best ratings are the ones that are being done by your customers, because they are the ones patronizing your product and they are the ones consuming it. So it's only fair and more accurate if your consumers should rate your product for you. So if you want to do comparative analysis, it could either be qualitative or quantitative. This slide talks about the qualitative of most chocolate cake company trying to do a comparative analysis with other kind businesses that are doing same bakery, like the most chocolate cake company. We have the mega supermarket, we have the average bakery company, and we have the fancy bakery LLC. So the factors that were considered for this comparative analysis are quality, price, location, selection, service, spread turnaround, specialization, and personalization. Like I said about ratings, um, ratings most times, if you go online, you see ratings done by consumers or customers of a particular product, and they sometimes these days they use stars. It could be, you see people, some click on 1 star, 2 star, 3 star, 4 star, 5 star. A very good example is the app, Google app, right? When you download any app from there, the usually it will ask you, do you want to rate? If you decide to rate, you see it gives you up to like 5 star. Or even games, they tell you rate it, and you just rate. You see it. You can also give comments. Some people even give comments, some good comments, some give very nasty comments. Probably they've used the product and they were not impressed, or they were not giving good customer service. So ratings could be in qualitative, could be in quantitative. Sometimes in those stars, if you click it, it shows you 5, and sometimes if you click it, it shows you 4, 3, 2, 1. And sometimes it could be qualitative. When you click it, you see words like excellent, good, moderate, fair, even poor, very poor. So for this, we're using qualitative non-numeric, non-numbers for this comparative analysis. For quality, you see that the most chocolate cake and fancy bakery are at par, they are both excellent, while mega and average bakery are fair. Now, if you check on price, the most chocolate cake is not at a very it's not competitive, it doesn't have a competitive advantage on the price. But mega supermarket and average bakery uh, 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 have a good rating on this. They both have good and moderate, and fancy it's poor. Location, for location, the mega supermarket has a very good competitive advantage for location, and most chocolate is moderate, average bakery is moderate, and fancy bakery is good. So if you look this down to personalization, you see that it's some are excellent and some are moderate good. So this depends on how it has been rated and who has rated it. Now let's look at the quantitative aspect of a comparative analysis. You see it's same with the previous, same factors, quality, price, till personalization, but this time around we have weight and rating. Weight is allocated to each factor. We have 0.20 for quality, 0.10 for price, 0.10 for location, 0.15 for selection, service 0.10, speed turnaround 0.05, and specialization 0.20, personalization 0.10. All these are less than 1. Okay? Each factor's weight is less than 1. So this is why when you add everything up, you get 1. Now, what is the rating? For rating for these factors, for most chocolate, mega supermarket, and average bakery, fancy bakery, all differs. For the first one factor, which is quality, the most chocolate has 5 and fancy has 5. This translates to the quality in the qualitative aspect, where they both have excellent, and mega supermarket and average bakery both have fair and fair. So the fair here is represented by 2 and the excellent is represented by 5. So looking at price, I think the price for this was fair this time around for most, and poor for fancy, and mega and average has good and moderate. So if you look at this one, they got 3, for two for price, one for price for fancy, and four and three for mega supermarket and average bakery. All of the ratings differ with each of these companies, though the weight is same for all of them because they are being it's a comparative analysis. So same parameters and units, which is weight, is used for all of the factors, but the ratings differs because this is based on their performance. Now let's move to the column of weighted rating for all of them. So for column C, for you to get the weighted rating, you must multiply column A and column B, which is A star B. If you multiply it, you get for weighted rating. For column A is 0.20 multiplied by rating 5 for quality, and you get 1.1. Okay, you get just one, which is 1.00. Now for price is 0.10 multiplied by 2, you get 0.20. Let's move down to personalization, and at personalization the weight was 0.10 and the rating was 5. When multiplied by 5, which is weight and rating multiply, you get 0.50. But the weighted rating is not same for the other companies. For mega supermarket, average bakery co and fancy bakery co, they all have their own weighted rating. For the weighted rating, just like you've done for the most chocolate cake company, you also do for the mega supermarket. The weighted rating is E, which is column E. To get column E, you have to multiply A, which is the weight, multiplied by their rating, which is D. So also for average bakery, to get their weighted rating, which is column G, you have to multiply A, which is weight, multiplied by F star F, okay, and you get their weighted rating. So to fancy bakery. So if you look at it, they all have their weighted ratings is different. So let's look at their total. The total shows who is performing better or who is performing best among the four of them. For the most chocolate, it has 4, means it's doing better than the mega supermarket, average baking co and fancy bakery co. Fancy bakery LSC is 3.35 and average bakery co is 2.85 and mega supermarket is 2.7. Means that the most chocolate cake company has more comparative advantage, and it was more it's more of it was more of it was doing best compared to the other three, followed by the fancy bakery, followed by the average bakery co and the mega supermarket. When we say competitive strategy, it's actually the combination of business definition with its competitive advantage. It's a business will only succeed if you can offer the customer in your market something more and better, and or different from what the competition is all about. It's not just about the competition, but it should be that you have something unique and better than who your company, the company that you are competing with. So just like this for this most chocolate cake company, it was actually it had more comparative advantage compared to the other company. It was doing well in one of its biggest comparative advantage was on the aspect of quality and on the aspect of service and specialization and personalization. Your competitive advantage, which is called competency, is essential, and once you establish it, your business decision will start to fall into place. Now let's look at strategy versus tactics. Though it sounds the same, the meanings might be the same, but the weights very different. Strategy is a plan how an organization or individual intends to outdo its competitors. The tactics is the way in which a business carries out its strategy. So if a business plan to open, let's say for example, a business or you plan to open a bookshop, how will you compete with the chain outlets in the neighborhood? Uh, it could be that you make your bookshop a kind of community center. This will be a strategy to wish to be of uh, to be able to outdo your competitors. But what is the tactics? What tactics are you going to put in place to achieve this strategy? So possible tactics are probably hold poetry readings and one performer concert to promote local poets and musicians, create special interest book discussion groups, offer free tea and coffee, provide comfortable sitting areas for conversation and reading to encourage customers to spend time in your store, or set up a binder or personal ads as a dating service. So these are just examples. There are many other ways which many other tactics which an entrepreneur can use to outdo his competitors, to be at an advantage over them, and for to sustain your business and um, hold your customers and also get more customers. So we're now going to look at the economics of one unit, which is EOU. It's a litmus test. We're going to look at a litmus test of using just one unit. You know, when once you have chosen a business idea and determined your competitive advantage, it's the next thing is to carry out an analysis, a preliminary analysis to determine whether the idea will be financially viable or not, because we will not want to waste resources. So this is why you should first of all do a kind of litmus test with just one unit. One unit is just one item out of what's the total number you intend to produce or you are producing. So how do you do this litmus test? You must first of all find out the gross profit of that one item. So using the economics of one unit of sales means that the amount of gross profit that is earned on each unit of the product or service a business sells. So how do we get our gross profit? Gross profit means you have to deduct your revenue away from your the total sales revenue minus the total cost of goods sold. So this is how we get our gross profit. So when we say unit of sale, it's a basic unit of product or service sold by the business. Well, manufacturer most times they don't produce just one unit. Of course, they don't produce. They usually produce in batches, and sometimes this is based on order. Okay, could be one order, but then that one order will be 100 items, like one batch production, and two other could be like 200. Okay, of that item, okay, 200 pieces. Or then we have wholesale. Wholesale, they deal on the when it comes to their unit of sales, they deal on dozens. It could be half dozens, or one dozen, which is 12 items. That means 12 units in they consider it as a dozen. We have retail. Retail are one item, each one just selling one item. And we have service. 1 hour of service means you not producing a tangible thing. You actually give it service. You know, production involves both a product, a tangible thing, and non-tangible thing. If the production is there, but you cannot actually touch it. You cannot feel. You cannot touch it. Okay. Now, for service, these units of sale could be in 1 hour. This is why we have wages. Wages are calculated based on hourly. Now, looking at the the economics of one unit of sales, we have an example here. We have $7 minus $3 equals to $4. So please focus. It's very basic. We have $7 means the selling price from that one item they are selling. So if you deduct $3 means the cost of production. We're talking about just one item now. And the example here is a tie. If you deduct $3, you get $4. So it means that the gross profit per unit is just $4. Now let's go to the second item, which is service. Service, it means 1 hour. Each 1 hour of a moving loan. That means you pay 1 hour. The selling price is 1 hour, right? So if you take the cost, which is 1 hour out, means the cost of the service, the labor, okay, let's say the energy, let's say the energy is the resources. So the energy you've used, you take the $10 out, you have $10 profit. So that $10 left as profit is your gross profit, because that energy, you need food. Probably when you were doing it, you were actually putting, you need to buy food, you use the transport. So there are a lot of things that you probably must have done with that $10 to generate that energy. So if you deduct it from the selling price, means you've charged, you get a $10 profit. Now let's look at the wholesale in dozens. Okay, one dozen one dozen, it's a unit, it's considered as a unit. So we have multiple of same item, e.g. 1 dozen roses. So we'd say it's selling, we call it 1 unit. Okay, it's not actually, it's a dozen, but if you are going to calculate, for if you are a wholesale business, you're going to calculate based like this. So you say 240, which is the selling price, minus 120, which is 120, and the gross profit is 120 for 1 dozen. So for combination, means uh, average sale per customer minus average cost of goods sold per customer. Like this is $20 minus $10 equals then $10 average gross profit. That means if per customer, it's minus average cost of goods sold per customer. So for this one, you get $10 too. So this is how it is calculated for per unit for various aspects, type of business. Okay, aspect of business or type of business. This is from retailing and manufacturing to service to wholesale to combination. Now we're going to look at cost of goods sold and gross profit. Cost of goods sold is the cost of selling one additional unit of a tangible item. Now, if you look at cost of service sold, this is different from cost of goods sold. Cost of service sold is the cost of selling one additional unit of a service. So the first one is talking about, the first definition is talking about tangible items, products, okay? Like I said, something you can actually touch. It's physical. Then the other one, it's a cost of service sold. The second definition is about unit of service. It means you're giving service, like banking and finance, like hospital, teaching, all this are service. These are, now let's look at tangible items. Tangible items, these are, when you talk about the cost of selling one additional unit of a tangible item, it means that the cost of material used to make the product or deliver the service, okay, and the cost of labor directly used to make the product or deliver the service. These are the tangible items. I mean, cost of goods. So the cost of selling one additional unit. These are how you're going to analyze it. How you're going to uh, take your cost. You must consider the cost of material used to make the product, and the cost of material could be delivery of service. Okay? Like the example I gave to you, this service, and I was telling you that the lawn mower was actually, probably he has used this energy, so he probably bought food to refill himself to have enough energy to mow the lawn. And so because of that, it's you consider it as a cost of goods. Could be it's cost of goods. Then if you deduct it from the selling price, you get $10 profit. I also made mention of, also probably has also used transport fare, or probably bought gas to get to where he is and do his job. So if you're looking at the cost of labor directly used to make the product or deliver the service, it's also very important to consider the cost of labor directly used to make the product or deliver the service. All these uh, uh, just the example I gave, the materials, I made mention of food, and I also made mention of transport costs, or probably gas if he has his own car. So that is that. Let's move on. We're going to look at economics of 1 unit of sale versus total gross profit. Uh, Economics of 1 unit EOU, for this is the price sold revenue is $20, the cost of goods sold is $12, the gross profit is $8. That means you just deduct 12 away from 20. Now if we are going to look at the total gross profit for 12 units, that means 12 units is considered at uh, 12 units, 12 items. So you're going to say 12 times 20 will give you 240, and 12 times 12 will give you 144. If the gross profit for these 12 units is going to be 96, that means you can just, instead of doing all of this again, you can just multiply the 12 units by 8, because this 8 is a gross profit for just one item, 1 unit. So if you multiply by 12, which is 12 units, you will get for the gross profit for um, the gross profit for the 12 items. So moving on, let's look at total. The economics of 1 unit of sale is a method for seeing whether your business idea could be profitable. So it's very important we do this before we embark on mass production. Okay, because if we do this, it tells us if it's going to be profitable or not. And it's always very important we do with just 1 unit, because if you do with more than 1 unit, it's probably not be accurate enough. This is because if in business, when people are buying in large quantity, sometimes they negotiate, they bargain for lesser price. As the class go on, you see example of what I'm saying right now. You they bargain for lesser price, and if you calculate based on more than just 1 unit of item, you probably not be getting accurate results, accurate answer, accurate number for the total gross profit for one item. Because let's say for example you calculate by more than one, let's say using 2,000 units, you're using it to calculate. It could be that at that 2,000 units you probably not be selling at $8 you intended. It could be, yes, you sell at $8, but then because whoever is buying that $2,000 from you, uh, it's looking for a discount, because probably it's buying more than just one, two, three, 2,000 for example. So person is looking for, it's actually bargain negotiating. So you probably not be selling at $8. Probably you sell like $6 or $5 per one for the 2,000 item. So this is why for accurate analysis, using economics of 1 unit of sale method, it must be 1 unit used for the analysis, used for the calculation to get the gross profit. Now we look at direct labor, areas that actively produce or deliver a product or service. So we look at this one, like one pair of sneakers is just like the ones we've done before. We have selling price per unit, we have labor cost per hour, which is $4. Then number of hours per unit is 2 hours. Okay, so if labor cost per hour is $4, number of hours per unit is 2 hours. So you just multiply $4 by 2, you get 8. Okay, so 8 plus 4 give you 12, and you subtract the 12 away from $50, because the selling price is $50. You get a gross profit of $3. So this is how it's gotten. If you look at it, the materials per unit was added, the number of hours per unit was multiplied by 2, and that's, if it was 5 hours, you multiply by the number of hours. by the cost per hour, which is multiplied by the number of hours. So if after all of this you get your total cost of goods sold per unit, that is how you get it, then you minus away from the selling price per unit to get your answer. For this, the answer for gross profit per unit, that means for every unit sold, you're going the entrepreneur is going to make $3. So like this one is unit, 1 dozen pairs of sneakers, that means 1 unit. It's considered as 1 unit. 1 dozen, though it's 12, but it's considered as 1 unit. So in this case, it just multiply by, say unit is 240 and cost of goods sold is 180. Per unit is $60. Then we have for 1 pair of signals, this is $40, just like the previous slides. So unit of an hour, you add up. Suppliers per unit LJTC is $2. Labor cost per hour is $25. So if you add this up, you get 27. And if you deduct away from selling price, you get $23. This one is labor cost per hour. This one is you don't need to multiply this, it's already calculated and written. But this is different from this one, where we have they said labor cost per hour is told, then the number of hours per unit is told. They said it was 2 hours per unit, so this one you have to multiply. But this is different from this because this is already calculated and the amount is already told. So this is why we have 25, and at $2 you get 27. Subtract away from the selling price, and the gross profit is 23. So we have a case study here of Jenny has a business designing handmade bookmark marker. A unit of sales one bookmarker. So this is Jenny's breakdown. She's selling price per unit is $1. The labor is 150. 1.50. The amount is written there. So if you cost of goods sold per unit is $2.50. So and she's selling at $4.50. If you subtract this $2.50 away for $4.50, you get a gross profit per unit of $2. So in the case of when Janet has to hire others to make the unit of sales, probably there was reasons for that. So probably there was increase in demand. So to solve this issue, she has a friend to make the bookmark for $9 per hour. Although the EOU will stay the same, Janet will have more time to look for new opportunities for her business. It will still stay the same, the EOU per unit, but then she will be having more time because by the time she hires an extra hand, she'll have more time for herself to work on the business. Her income from the business will now come slowly from the gross profit, which is currently $2 per unit. So her income from the business will now come from the solely from the gross profit. So at presently, what is the gross profit is $2. Okay. So if she's hiring $9 per hour, hiring a friend for $9 per hour, let's see what's going to happen. The thing is that she has to ensure if she can meet up with the demand, because right now there's an offer for her to make 2,000 bookmarkers. So can at a selling price of $3.50 each, which means $1 less from what she has been selling. So the three questions immediately that came to her mind was that can she produce the 2,000 unit order in the required time frame? If she lower the price, will she be able to still get a reasonable gross profit per unit? Then how much in total gross profit will she make this time around? I would really like the students to probably help Janet to answer these questions. to know if the business is going to be profitable or not. So moving on, we're going to look at how the volume also affects decisions. Even if you are hiring volume, we talked about hiring. Now we're going to look at the volume of your business. Probably it's increasing, but still you still have to calculate the unit of sales. You have to determine the economics of 1 unit of sales, no matter the increase, the demand. Even if the increase as far as the price has changed, you have to also calculate it. Like for Janet, she was selling at 450, and now there's an offer for her that she should sell at $3.50. But this time around, she's not only supplying 40 bookmarkers, she has to supply 2,000 bookmarkers, markers, and it has to be in 1 month. So Janet has to calculate the EOU and be to ensure if this offer will be profitable to her or not. So she has to also substitute someone else labor. She has to look at the selling in volume and creating jobs and creating of a profit, because if she takes that, that means she will also be uh, creating jobs and creating at a profit. She has to ensure all of this to confirm this. If she gets a good offer, she has to also calculate the unit of sale for this offer. To determine the value of a business, it could be done in various ways. The valuation of a business is just a combination of art and sciences, and ultimately a matter of arrival at a price and set of tender both the buyer and seller must agree to. This is why there must be a contract which actually shows the terms and conditions of the agreement, and this should be signed by the buyer and seller. Like in the case of Janet, there should be a written contract in regards to this. Okay, because sometimes when contracts are not in put in writing, anything can happen. Okay, so it's more appropriate for this to be the agreement to there should be a proper documentation for both prime buyer and seller. For a public company, valuation is the worth of the stockholders' equity. For a going concern with audited financials, the determination can be based on projected earnings and cash flow. Now we have primary methods of valuation. It could be by asset valuation, earnings valuation, and cash flow valuation. So how do we determine the value of a business? It's by currency and foreign exchange. For currency is a term used for money when its exchange is international across borders. Then we have foreign exchange rate, the relative value of one currency to another. And the primary methods for valuation are asset valuation, earnings valuation, and cash flow valuation. This are already mentioned in this slide. Now moving on, we're going to look at the asset valuation. We're going to discuss each of them. Um, for asset valuation, it's actually a way of analyzing the underlying value of a business asset as a basis for negotiating the price. And the four most common standards are book value, adjusted book value, liquidation value, replacement value. When we say book value, it's actually the book value is actually the uh, book value. It's the firm's or the company's value of all assets entered in their book. The adjusted book value, it's a measure of a company's valuation after liabilities. Then for liquidation value, it's the net value of a company's physical assets if they go out of business. Means after the business has stopped production or it's no longer in business. I mean, if it's liquidated, what is the value? So that is where we have liquidation value. What is the company's physical asset if they go out of business? Now we also have the replacement value. How do I explain this for better understanding? Okay, we could say replacement value, it's a value that has to be paid in the eventuality of a property stolen or destroyed. Sometimes companies could actually have depreciation or sorry, fire outbreaks, and probably robbery, as the case may be. So this our replacement value, but this replacement values are mostly done giving these payments I made mention of. It's mostly done by insurance company. So that is why replacement value is how to be paid in the eventuality a property is stolen or destroyed. So we also have any valuation method. For this, we have historical earnings, future earnings under current ownership. We have future earnings under new ownership. For historical earnings, it's a measure of how the earnings of a company has grown over time. Its flow over the period of for the years of its existence, or over a period of time. So I think future earnings, I don't, there's no really anything to explain that. I mean, what you expect in future forecasting. Future earnings under current ownerships and future earnings under new ownership. So we also have cash flow valuation. A cash flow valuation is calculating the worth of a business by using projected future cash flows and the time value of money. So whatever value that is calculated through the quantitative method above, the final price should also reflect the non-financial variables, and the the value of customer goodwill should also be considered, and this must be factored into the price. And the competitive and legal environment also have a role in the pricing too. Now, looking at the offer price and the maximum amount you are willing to pay should also encompass all of the factors that are identified. So that is the end of today's lectures, and we've just completed chapter 3 of this course. If you have any question, please you can reach me through the university portal. You just leave your message there. Thank you.